Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Stephano versus BratOK right here on IC Cup Test Bug, which is turning into quite the comedy series, and I think that's really the way that we should treat it. BratOK in the red trunks, he is to the east, and he is playing Terran versus his opponent, the one and only Stephano in the pink trunks, who is playing Zerg to the south.
So I wonder if these guys are going to play straight up now or not. I don't even know anymore. I'm not even going to try to predict what these guys are going to do, because I have
Well, Stephano's
no
building a drone, which is better than he did last game.
Well, he's up to 9 supply. Could still 9 pull, I guess, but I don't know.
That's some crazy macro coming in right here.
Do you know like the percentage of going 6 pull against Terran? It's something ridiculous, like 3% win rate.
I can't imagine why.
Works for Stephano.
Well, it works for Stephano when BratOK doesn't actually wall off in any way, shape, or form and builds his barracks in the middle of nowhere, yes. But when BratOK actually walls off and a 6 pull comes in, yeah, that's a little difficult, unless you happen to be in close positions and already scouted. Whatever the case, Stephano is actually building an Overlord. Very impressive. And there we go, a quick extractor trick. So, I'd expect to see perhaps a more straight-up game this time around, although you never really know.
Well, I mean, do you even call the first game a straight-up game from BratOK?
Well,
I mean,
no,
I
it
don't
was
know
a
the
nuke rush.
definition
I wouldn't
of
call that straight up in any way, shape, or form. That was just silly.
Yeah,
Whatever
so
the
I don't
case.
know what we're going to see here.
Well, there's a barracks on 12 supply, so that's a reasonable start there for BratOK.
So yeah, I mean, Stephano's at 15 supply. He's going to throw down a hatchery very, very shortly here, and Testbug is so Zerg favored in the reason that nobody else can beat them in terms of races on this map. It's very heavily Zerg favored. Not impossible, but still, I mean, they just have such an easy time taking expansions.
Yeah.
This blue mineral field is very easy to take for Stephano here. And then the gold one, just kill a few rocks and you got a gold base too.
Yeah.
And they're right next to each other, so you can defend very easily as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really being the reason that no non-Zerg player really wants to play here, unless of course you happen to be doing proxy Stargate.
Well, that's not going to happen this game. So.
Well, it seems unlikely, but the way that this series is going, I'll actually give it 50-50.
So, I mean, Stephano's gone for 15 extractor, 15 spawning pool. Pretty standard, going to get speed straight away. BratOK sends out a scout now once that barracks completes. Does have a single marine out now. And he's building up a second gas now before factory. So it's going to go very, very, very gas intensive. Regular build would be something like Cloak Banshees here. But with the way that BratOK's been playing in both games.
Regular build.
I don't
yeah.
know what we're going to see.
Yeah, regular build. We'll see about that. Yeah, it's really interesting, and indeed both players actually did acknowledge that they knew who they were playing against next if they happened to win in the chat, so it's something to consider, and it's really weird to even discuss it, honestly, but I suppose in a competitive environment, you've got to really do everything it takes in order to win, but in this case, I think these guys are just going to have to play straight up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Stephano and you're thinking about it, who would you rather play, Sen or Siren's another Terran player, which is so good against? And at the same time, BratOK, he doesn't want to play Sen either. He'd rather play Sirens as well because his TVT is so strong. So both of them wanting to play Sirens and not Sen, but Stephano.
Oh, Sen, why are you so good? Therein lies the problem. Whatever the case, we've got BratOK going for the starport here, which could, of course, be very, very indicative of the fact that Stephano has built his hatchery in his opponent's natural.
Yeah, this is a pretty standard build
Yep.
from Stephano, proxy hatchery. You just get the creep there, which is so viable.
Well,
for
yeah,
your
it gives you a lot of mobility around your opponent's ramp, which is why it's so commonly done. And of course, there is the obvious transition into cancel double proxy evolution chamber.
Yeah, and you got to think too. Stephano's using this strategy to build this hatchery down that he can also deny BratOK going for a fast expansion. Despite BratOK going for Cloak Banshees by the seams. So
yeah.
Well, actually, no, he's going for Battle Cruiser Rush. So
yeah,
he's going all out right now.
One base Battle Cruiser. This is actually a strategy I taught him. Unfortunately, he's actually not proxying the Stargate, which means that it is suboptimal.
So we might actually see like a Spore Crawler Rush here, which might be beneficial against a Battle Cruiser Rush. So this is going to be a tough one for BratOK. I mean, he does have SCVs, he can repair. And there's a Spine Crawler.
This will be a Spine Crawler Rush right here against BratOK. Now, Spine Crawlers are actually, I don't know if you knew this, they're not that effective against Battle Cruisers.
So you're the one that uses Battle Cruiser Rush in all your ladder streams. Everyone's very familiar with you going for Battle Cruiser Rush.
Yep.
If you are BratOK now, and you're playing Stephano, being his perspective now, this is your Battle Cruiser Rush, how do you deal with that outside your base?
Well, you just sort of a move in the direction of the things which can't shoot air, which would be everything except that one queen. You then shoot the queen and win. It's not particularly hard, honestly. You generally don't go for it against Zerg because Zerg have loads of ways of killing it horribly. But honestly, I think that the least effective counter is probably 2 queens and a couple of spine crawlers. There's actually a spore crawler going up there as well, however, so that's certainly something to consider. That said, with the range, BratOK can actually fire on all of these static defenses and repair from the back.
Well, this is why Stephano is the best Zerg versus Terran right now. The strategy he's deploying right now, using the Overlord for sight range above the ramp, that is only the best can pull off. You know, other players like Demaga just don't think that deep. They can't really get high enough with the Overlords to put the spine crawlers in position.
Yeah, I think Demaga's actually got some real problems in terms of theorycraft in that regard. When
he should take a lesson off Stephano.
Well, when it comes into matchups when he is actually forced to take his opponent's natural because it's just simply not safe to take his own, then he's not prepared for that kind of situation. So I think maybe in a couple of years, once he's had some more practice, he's going to be pretty reasonable at that. And perhaps
now 2 queens and a lot of spore crawlers. This is going to be pretty difficult. And
well,
Stephano is shocked. I mean,
well, I would be fairly shocked. I mean, that's quite a good timing, actually. I can get it out a bit quicker, so if BratOK needs a bit of coaching after this, then I can happily give him that. Whatever the case, however, there's some good micro right there from the Queens, and as he said, that is why he built it in his hatchery, expecting a proxy battlecruiser rush. Yeah. He spreads his creep, and he now has maneuverability with the Queens.
But Blizzard knew battlecruiser rushes were so effective, they had to change the spore crawler deployment time. So the spore crawlers are going to come up now to defend against this. This is so smart from Blizzard. I never realized this.
Yeah, it's pretty good, honestly, and considering the absolute frequency of proxy battlecruiser rushes against Zerg on Grandmaster ladder, it seems like the right thing to do. Now, BratOK, of course, is just giving his opponent a little bit of a chance right here. I mean, unfortunately, the spine crawler is now moving into his opponent's base, which is a little bit problematic. That said, he can bring down the spore crawler right here. He's going to need a few more repairs on that battlecruiser, which is taking quite the pounding. The great thing about battlecruisers is they've got a really big surface area, so you can get a lot of things repairing them. And especially when you build another one and Yamato cannon on the way, which will not be ready to fire for quite some time. But that rush has been soundly defeated for the time being in the way that you would expect it to be.
And this is pretty intense micro right now from BratOK to keep repairing this battlecruiser over and over.
Yeah, that is a lot of right-clicking, and that is pretty difficult. It takes its toll on the hands.
Wow, this is intense.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. Spore Crawler going down right now. We've got a few roaches right here, which might be able to kill absolutely everything except the battlecruisers. Now, the concern right here is that Stephano does need to keep building queens. He's building 2 more, so he's actually getting his basic anti-air out of there. There is actually a factory hanging around here in the corner for no apparent reason. Just wanted to point that out. And there's a Yamato cannon going off. Takes down 1 defense. And he won't accept the conceit.